Hello viewers, welcome back to Raxio Hour. The manufacturing, tourism and agribusiness sectors significantly contribute to economic growth, especially through employment and wealth creation. But while this is true, the rising need for financial support through funding cannot be ignored. Raxio Data Centre attended and sponsored the 5th edition of the annual Bankers Conference, which was held at the Kampala Serena Hotel over 2 days from the 25th to 26th of July 2022. This year's conference, under the theme Bridging Financial Gaps in the Manufacturing, Tourism and Agribusiness Sectors to Catalyze Economic Recovery and Growth post-2021, saw players from the financial services sector come together to navigate possible ways in which the sector could extend support financially to manufacturing, tourism, and agribusiness sectors in pursuit of economic recovery and growth.
Our National Development Plan, NDP3, highlights, amongst others, manufacturing and tourism as key growth sectors that have huge development multiplier effects owing to the forward and backward linkages and related value chains, including agriculture, the SMEs and job creation in regional trade and generation of foreign exchange, and as such, considered priority areas of focus. The banking and financial sector is therefore pivotal to all the above dynamics as providers and enablers of financial flows, and is the reason for this year's annual Bankers Conference dialogue.
I'm glad that members of the Bankers Association have taken this call up. We've seen several bankers and banking agencies setting up incubation centers, SME development hubs, and we congratulate you and applaud you for that. However, like Oliver Twist, we want more. We want you to walk along with us every step of the way as we develop the capacity to grow our businesses. Because from where we sit, it's a win-win situation. Once the SME grows, you as a banker grows. For the names that we see today in the sector, the roofings of this world, the steel and tubes of this world, what did these start out as? They started out as SMEs that were struggling to make ends meet. But today, I'm certain each of the CEOs here would quickly run to attend a meeting with them if they promise to switch their accounts to you. And we are saying, walk with us to support these SMEs to grow so that you can then reap the benefit as we go along.
So please, we really need to mainstream tourism the way other countries are doing if we are going to compete. And we can't do so without the support of you, the financial institutions.
So if we were to walk away with 3 principles that we could develop on during these 2 days, I would say partnerships are key, as we are much stronger together than individually. Public-private sector partnerships to shore up and strengthen manufacturing, agri-sector and tourism is critical. Access to finance is vital, empowering the economies and business sectors. FIs, generally, or any underwriting organization can only do so if there's a digital footprint. Unfortunately, cash doesn't provide us that. And so we need to be enablers of digitalization in our ecosystems so that all that transactions and commerce is recorded, and it'll make your decision making easier. And that's where MasterCard plays a pivotal role. Lastly, we must continue to invest in the tech infrastructure and the networking infrastructure in our part of the world to ensure financial inclusion in its spirit.
Listen as James Byaruhanga, the General Manager of Raxio Data Centre, explains the value of data centers in achieving all desired outcomes.
The theme this year is focused around tourism and manufacturing. We all know that manufacturing right now is driven heavily by IT. Banking sector is driven by IT, and we're basically providing an environment for disaster recovery and business continuity. A lot of my customers are in this building. A lot of the customers that I'm in discussion with for migration are in this building, and some of the customers that we're in early stages with in this building. In Uganda, we are actually located in Namamve Industry Park. We built a 1.5 megawatt facility, 400 racks capacity. We're in early stages of our second site, which we are thinking about a location in the general area of Kawanda. Data centers depend on power a lot, so we need really stable power, and Kawanda is one of those locations. The idea about that is to give you a disaster recovery location as well for our primary site, and we're also in early stages of Raxio UG3, which we're looking to build in the oil and gas area in Hoima, near Kawala Industrial Park. We provide uptime of 99.9% so that your equipment doesn't go down. We've never actually had an outage from the day we open for business, yeah? What are we doing for the banking sector or the financial services sector is basically providing the infrastructure that can allow them to bring their own server infrastructure applications, and then of course they can host their banking services. Not to mention everything around banking and manufacturing. Even tourism these days is sitting on online platforms because the era of physical has gone in the past. Everything right now is moving into the virtual space.
On a much lighter note, Raxio Data Centre engaged in a session of fun and conversation at our exhibition booth, where we interacted with a couple of visitors who participated in a game of pop and win. But first, here are a few remarks from two of our visitors.
Sarah Arapta, my name. I am the Chief Executive for Citibank Uganda, but also the Chairperson for Uganda Bankers Association. The manufacturing and tourism sectors and our theme of this conference today, bridging our financial gaps in the manufacturing, tourism and agribusiness sectors. The last 2 days have been successful in that we have identified indeed where the financing gaps are for these key sectors. In terms of the deliberations, it is clear that there is a need for blended financing and alternative forms of access to finance to enable these three critical sectors to thrive and achieve the much needed recovery post the pandemic. So we believe that the objectives of the conference have been achieved in the sense that a number of initiatives that talk to providing alternative financing sources have been achieved. The importance of data centers cannot be underestimated. We live in a time where continuity of business is important. Disaster recovery is an aspect that we cannot ignore. So data centers come in handy for not just the financial institutions, but all the sectors that we have discussed throughout this theme. Importantly, data centers do help many businesses get the required efficiencies to bring costs down in their respective businesses. A time like this, the external environment we're faced with requires businesses to take up different initiatives to bring their costs down. So uptake and use of data centers becomes even more important.
Thank you for the wonderful remarks. Now, let the games begin. Thank you to all who took a minute to stop by the booth. It was an absolute pleasure making your acquaintance. Above all, Raxio Data Centre congratulates the organizers of the annual Bankers Conference for yet another successful execution. Thank you for tuning in to Raxio Hour. Until next time.